Welcome to Earning Freedom, the Straight A Guide. We have finally reached the final episode, and I've been promising from the beginning that I would focus this episode on being authentic. It is the final A of the Straight A Guide, and I've taken the liberty to practice a little bit with my video editing skills. I can tell you they are not the best in the world, but I am going to do the best that I can to show you, rather than just tell you, how this values-based, goal-oriented approach to success not only can get you through prison, but it can put you on a pathway to real success when you get out of prison. And so I'm going to start by showing you this little video that I made early this morning when I started my day.
Morning, it's about 5 a.m., maybe 5 after 5, and I just wanted to make this quick video to the extent that I'm able to. You can see it's kind of dark. I'm just ready to begin my morning run, and I know that I'm going to be filming this message on authenticity today, and I just wanted you to see how I start the day. I always start with a 10-mile run. That's how I make it happen out here. Got to be authentic.
Okay, so here is a second, some photographs that I'd like you to see. You can see this one here, which is a photograph of me just finishing my run right before I jump in the pool. That's a photograph of me stripping down from my running gear before I jump into the pool. And finally, you can look at this little screenshot that I took from my phone. I hope that you can see it. If you can, in the upper right-hand corner of the photograph, you will see that it documents how far I have run so far this month. It's March the 7th. There has been 7 days. It shows you on there. I've run a total of 69.19 miles, that photograph says. So it's an average of just shy of 10 miles every day of the month. I'm on track to hit 300 miles this month, which is a goal that I set in the beginning of the month, how much I'm going to run. Generally, when I finish my run, I strip down and get ready for a swim. You see, I took my clothes there and just got down to my shorts, took a brief shower, and jumped in the pool. And here's a little brief video from the pool. Now, this is a great way to finish your exercise. After a 10-mile run, come in for an awesome swim. Really enjoyed it today, and I look forward to going back and creating more content to inspire people in prison. So you see, exercise is just a part of a typical day for me, and I typically work 7 days every week. I'm completely authentic. I want to share with you everything that I'm doing, primarily because I want you to see that the lessons that I am providing aren't just to get you out of the SHU and into the general population or into a lower security prison. They're to help you find the reason to reject the negativity and the criminal lifestyle and the types of behavior that leads to continuing cycles of failure. I want you to come out here and build a great life. In fact, before I started this video, I took a little video from my office, and you can take a look at listening to it right now. I'm making videos today for the Earning Freedom Mastermind program. I'm here in an office where I work, and I'm on the 5th floor of a pretty big building in Irvine, California. And outside my window, you can see the development that's being made. They're building a new hotel out there. And I was standing out there, I was struck by the amount of planning that goes into putting up a building. You see every one of those trenches, there's a reason for it. You see every one of those pipes, there's a reason for why it's there. And that's the same message I try to teach the people through our Earning Freedom Mastermind program, that every decision they make, there should be a purpose for it. There should be a reason for it. And if we follow that path, that's what's going to lead us to success. That's what leads people from where they are to where they want to go. Somebody is thinking about that building right now and thinking about how they could turn that piece of dirt into an extraordinary hotel. And in about a year, we're going to see that hotel there. But right now, it's just dirt, and there are trenches, and there are pipes going in. And they know where they're going to pour the concrete, and they know why that equipment is there, and they know why all of those supplies are there. But it's going to look differently in a year from now, just like an individual's life can look differently. It doesn't happen by accident. It requires a deliberate action plan. That's what we teach at the Earning Freedom Mastermind program. So do you get the message that I'm trying to convey? The Straight A Guide, it's a series of principles, and these principles are universal for success. By making good decisions in prison, you can build stronger foundations, just like the foundations that were necessary to build this hotel that's going up here. So from that same foundation that we build, we too can construct something better. It's this strategy of living a values-based,
goal-oriented life that makes all the difference. It doesn't only prepare us for prison, it prepares us for success upon release in an extraordinary way. But it all begins with the decisions we start making in prison. Today, I was searching through the YouTube, which is this video archival system that you can access online, and I happened to find a clip. I was looking for clips of speeches that I have given, and I found one that I wanted to share with you. It was filmed by the University of Washington when I went there to give a presentation. But specifically, I want you to hear how they introduced me, because it really validates what I'm asking you to do. Take a listen.
Thank you all for coming tonight. I just wanted to introduce Dr. Diane Young. She's the director of the social work program in the criminal justice major, and she's going to come up and say a few words about Michael Santos, who we are very fortunate to have here tonight. So thank you all for coming.
I'm so excited to have Michael Santos here. I think, communicated with him about 10 years ago when I was an assistant professor at Syracuse University, teaching my social work students about corrections and social work within criminal justice. And in his book, he had written a book about prison, about his experience and about prison life. And so I required my students to read that book, and it was so engaging. They so got into it. Even when they didn't agree with him, they really got into it. So we had some great discussions. And in his book, he invited people to communicate with him. So I had some questions for him. I wanted to know, had he ever seen a prison counselor, and what did he think about counseling within prison? And could counseling be effective in prison? You know, all those kinds of things social workers wonder about. And so I sent him off a letter, and very quickly he responded, this typed, single-space, 3 or 4 page letter where he would answer my questions and sort of talk about things, and it was just wonderful. So then I could take that letter back to my class and engage them in his responses. So Michael and I go back a little ways, and it's fun. This is the first time I've seen him in person, and I'm delighted he's here. I want to give him lots of time to tell his story.
One of the things I want to say as I start this presentation is I will be totally open and transparent. And I would encourage you, if I say anything that suggests something that's different from your perspective, please come on up and engage with me.
So you see, I went there to speak on this concept of mass incarceration and what steps that we can take as a society to improve outcomes of our nation's prison system. We need to create mechanisms that will allow people to earn freedom. But this is part of a cycle. You see, I have to persuade university students. Those university students then go work in government, in lobbying organizations, and they can help me convey the message. And you know, I've also got to speak inside of prisons and get people in prison to do their part, which is one of the reasons that I developed this program. But all of it works together. But one of the cool things about that video, and the reason that I wanted to clip that one versus some of the others, is because the professor talks about exactly what I said I did. When I was in prison, I was reaching out. I was cultivating relationships. I was building my support system. And by my sowing those seeds early on, it opened opportunities for me to generate speaking opportunities that pay a good income for me, and I'll share some of that with you a little bit later. But it's not only professors, it's not only universities. Look at where else I'm speaking. The next video here, you're going to see me speaking in front of a chamber of commerce, but I want you to pay attention because I get an endorsement in there from the United States the U.S. Attorney for the District of Guam and Saipan and Micronesia, and they actually brought me to Guam so that I could present my program to the heads of the Department of Corrections, the judicial system, U.S. attorneys, and you don't got to take my word for it. Listen, because the U.S. Attorney talks about it on this website right here.
We as a society need to rethink our criminal justice system in innovative, disruptive ways. You see, many of you may be deluded by this myth that has been perpetuated by an industry that has a vested interest in incarcerating humanity and warehousing human beings, but instead opening the mind so that we recognize, regardless of what bad decisions an individual has made, that individual can become successful and be a contributing member of your team. I don't have to be doing this. I have a full-time career. It's very public, but I'm incredibly passionate, and I will never be truly free until every person who's living in struggle recognizes that they have the power within to transform that struggle and become successful.
He is a living example of someone who has definitely committed himself to hard work, committed himself to improving the quality of life, not just for himself, but for everyone else in the community. And by being this living proof, he's evidence.
I hope to use Guam as a case study of what we can build, the best. We think about the best possible outcome. I want to show we can spread this across the nation, and it just takes courage. It takes a leader. I use a program. I use that analogy in my course about it's not about what I do, it's about the people who support it and allow it to spread, because it can't spread without them. There's no way I could have reached all the people I've reached in Guam if the U.S. Attorney and her staff helped me bring the message. And we worked for several months to make this happen, and it's really a fulfillment of a dream for me that began 30 years ago when I was starting my prison sentence.
So there you have it. U.S. Attorney endorsing a guy who just got out of prison after 26 years inside. And at the time that she made that, I was still on special parole. But who else? How about a United States Federal District Court judge, Judge Mark Bennett? I shared a stage with him when I went to speak at a symposium in Idaho, and we became friends. I asked him to share some of his insights on what people in prison could do to prepare for success. And I'd love to show that whole video with you, but it's like 40 minutes long. But I took this little clip where he's giving an endorsement for my work. And I just wanted to share it with you so that you would see the types of testimonials, the types of people that can come into your life if you adhere to this values-based, goal-oriented approach.
So I think that's a great point, Michael. I just want to say that the feeling is mutual. You have done so much and worked so hard to make such incredibly positive changes in your life that I'm so proud to know you. I'm so proud to consider you a friend. And you know what? I'd be absolutely thrilled if you were my next door neighbor, because you've not only paid your debt to society, you've repaid it, and you are repaying it over and over again. And that's really more than we can ever ask of anybody. So you're just a great role model. And I think because you've walked the walk and you've had the experience, and you served such an incredibly lengthy period in prison, and you did so much to really rehabilitate yourself and the networks that you've created for yourself, you're just it's the perfect example of the kind of path that can make a huge difference in somebody's life. So thank you very much for the work that you're doing.
Now it's awesome to get endorsements from universities and from U.S. attorneys and from judges, but it's also important to build a career and to become successful financially so that you can provide for your families. And this program, it has helped me. I learned these concepts from masterminds. These concepts allowed me to stay focused while I was going through 9,500 days in prison, and they allowed me to begin building my own career. So I took the liberty of making this simple video to the best of my ability, just so that I could show you how deeply I keep track of everything that I am doing. Okay, so I told you that I would be sharing all of my information with you during this final video, and I wanted to take this time to show you some of my ways that I hold myself accountable right now, and I introduce other people. This is my Google Doc. It's on a drive, so I make it accessible to, I used to make this accessible to my probation officers so that she could see that everything that I was doing. I started doing this in 2015. That's when I really began to understand a little bit more about how to use the internet. So I'm just going to show you the same information that I used to show to my probation officers. I'm waiting for it to open here. I can see that there's a version of it open already, 2015 banking file. And you'll see that I can scroll down. These tabs down along the bottom are every month. So you see in January of 2015, I had my various income streams coming in from different businesses that I owned. And you can see that I had, at that time in January, $226,000 in the bank. I had very little credit card debt. I always paid my credit cards off every month. I'd show my probation officer where I held my accounts, and then I would show how my income came every month. So my wife's income, my income, my different business venture incomes, and my total income. And you can see how that changes every month. So every month it'd start to grow, right? Where here you see a rental property. I only had one rental property in early 2015. It wasn't until much later that year, I think you can look by December. If I go to December, January all the way to December, now I've got every month chronicled here where I'm describing what I'm doing. I'm showing there at this stage, I've got how many rental properties. I've got one in Petaluma that's got equity of it's worth about $530 at the time. I owe $325 at the time. It's got equity of about $205. A second property here, equity of about $70. A third property here, equity about $55. A fifth property, I think I had 4 or 5 properties at the end of that year. So total net worth of $536. It would show how much assets I owned. So by the end of 15, I already controlled more than $1 million in assets. I'd set that goal, I told you, in as soon as I got out of prison, which was in 2013. So that by the end of 15, that 5-year goal, I was able to hit much sooner, in like 2 years. And then you see the end of 16. There's my 16 file, the same document. I keep using it. I could scroll all these out to make them bigger, but basically it got to be so big that I started only showing the last several months, but they're all right here. So there's in January of 16, it would show my cash balance dropped to 88 because I was probably buying more real estate or something. I don't remember. But you could see the various different income streams that I had coming in. My wife's was there. All these were my different business ventures and so on. So there was total income for my family of $44,000 in the month of January. And so it was a good year, 16. So you'd see it grow and, things had switched. By the end of 16, you can see that I had more businesses that I was generating resources from. I had more properties. I had more investments. I'm working all the time. But there's this is all part of my long-term strategy of preparing for success that I've been talking about throughout these 10 videos. But you can see how it kind of pays off. Like at the end of December, I had $41,000 in income that month, and over the course of the entire year, I brought in $240,000. My wife brought in about $100,000. I had another $100,000 in real estate income from all these rental properties that I'd been bringing in. There was $94,000 there. So total annual deposits in 16 of $450,000. You can go to 2017. I think I have that one open also. If not, I have it right here on my doc for banking. And I'm just doing this to show you, hey, this is real. If you start making good decisions while you're in prison, you can see how those decisions are going to influence your career. So this is the first couple of months of 2017 as I'm filming this video. I have various businesses with cash in them. So total cash on hand is $275,000. Investment capital, I have another $675,000 that I'm managing for various people who've invested in me and asked me to grow their assets for them. You see, I carry no credit card debt whatsoever. Nothing to do with consumer debt I'd use. If it's not related to business, I'm not taking debt, but I do take a lot of business debt because I got $275 in liquid assets. I do always take a lot of business debt, and you can see that reflected here in these different real estate properties that I own. There's currently $2.5 million in real estate that I'm controlling with mortgages of $1.7 million in debt. So my current equity there is about $750,000 plus cash leaves me more than $1 million in assets. Estimated net worth getting close to $1 million in total net worth. You see how my income continues to be documented every month. You see this is February was the last full month. I record everything that came in. That looks a little big right now because it already shows $150,000 for February. But that's misleading because you can see that I refinanced some properties and had some big cash come in. I think in January I had some big cash come in. No, I guess it wasn't January. It was February or March. There's 164,000. There was a wire transfer from the sale of one of my houses, and then I had additional refinancing. That's why these numbers look really big for 2017. They won't feel, but I also always am living on a 5-year plan, right? So in 2017, you can see this is the amount of real estate that I'm owning besides my business. So this is my personal real estate, 1.5 million, $1 million in debt. This is generating for me in income every month, $9,600. And from that, I pay my debt off. These are all financed on 15-year notes. So this is a very good retirement strategy for me because as you see in 15 years, I bank them out in 5 years. I just estimate, well, what will the property be worth 5 years from now? And you see that I earn a considerable amount of my income from real estate because the real estate appreciates in value and it simultaneously decreases my debt. So at the end of 2033, when I'll be about 2033, I think I'll be 65, 64, 74, 84, 94, 2004, 2014, 2024, 2030. Yeah, I'll be like 60 in my mid 60s. I'll have 2.2 million. If nothing changes, all I got to do is manage these real estate, and then I have $2 million in real estate that I only put down $275,000 for. My tenants have paid the rest, and that will give me a very comfortable retirement, is what I'm anticipating. Besides other businesses that I create, real estate is always going to be a part of my journey. You can see, I think I've shown you. If I haven't shown you, I can show you right now just to verify. There's my actual bank. You see I'm going right to the Wells Fargo account. I can just plug that in. Just to show you that's where I've got several banks, but this is where I do most of my banking. You see I've got $196,000 in the bank right now. They're in various different accounts. I know that I have another $70,000 there in a different business, but 196 is good. You can see that I've got, what else could I show you there? I can show you my cars, because I know that that's a big deal in prison. You want to have cars. I bought this car for my wife when she graduated. I bought this car for me. I've been driving these cars now. I think I bought these in 2015, the summer of 15. So now they're getting ready to be upgraded. I think I'll get a Tesla next, as long as blessings continue to come my way. What else was I going to show you? I came out of prison with a 000 credit score, and I took a snapshot of my credit score today. That's a 777. You see that was updated March 4th, 2017. It's currently March 7th, 2017, and that's a pretty lucky number. 777 with excellent credit after just getting out of prison, right? And you can see my different debts. This is from the same credit score screen. My mortgages are relatively low, $113,000. You see no credit card debt, very little credit card debt, but I pay it off every month anyway. There's a $300,000 mortgage, a $113,000 mortgage on one of my properties, a $470,000 mortgage on another property. So the only type of debt that I will carry, that's what I owe left on my two Mercedes, $13,000 for this one and $10,000 for this one. But these are leases, so that's really not even equity. But basically, I wanted you to see that everything I am doing is authentic, and this is what results when you're making good decisions inside of a prison. So that's how I show that I'm authentic. You see, there's nothing that I'm asking you to do that I didn't do and that I'm not still doing. This pattern has not only positioned me to build a successful career that continues to grow, but it also allows me to do what I want to do, which is to give back to society, which is to help more people in prison transition out successfully, help them find employment, help them find credit. And I really am inviting you to join me on this effort, because if I have more people that are succeeding from prison, it just makes it a lot easier for me to persuade legislators to change our nation's prison and sentencing system so that more people can come back to society, live as law-abiding, contributing citizens, demonstrating that regardless of what bad decisions we've made in the past, it's never too late, it's never too early. We can always begin sowing seeds for a better life. And I'm hoping that you will begin sowing seeds for a better life by applying yourself to these principles of the Earning Freedom Mastermind program, the Straight A Guide course, This is a program that never ends. You will get a certificate for going through it, but at the end of the day, this is a program that I started when I was inside of a segregated housing unit. I stayed on when I transitioned into a general population unit of a USP, when I went to an FCI, when I went to an FCI low, when I went to a camp, when I was in the halfway house, when I was on home confinement, and when I was on supervised release and parole and special parole. But right now, I'm free. And you'll see that from this last image that I show there on the screen. I am completely free and I'm building my career, but I'll always have a deep sense of responsibility to help more people in prison come out successfully. And I hope that's you. Thanks so much for giving me your time. And thank you. I really hope that you will help me by inspiring more people around you to go through this course and embrace these principles. And if you want to share your story, please send me an invite and respond to the questions in this course so that I can publish them on jobsandresourcesforfelons.com. Thank you very much.
Next, one man's effort to turn prisoners' lives around, just as he did his own.
That sounds a bit like a movie, which fits because Michael Santos' story begins with the movie Scarface.
It was just the beginning of an amazing story of crime, punishment, and redemption.
Santos was just 23 when he was convicted of trafficking cocaine in 1987. He served 26 years in federal prisons. From the moment he arrived in prison, he began preparing himself for the day he'd be released, even if it was decades away.
You've got to be able to say, I make 100% commitment to rejecting the criminal lifestyle. I make 100% commitment to preparing for success upon release.
But before Michael was even sentenced, before he spent a single of those 9,500 nights in prison, Michael made one very good decision. He picked up a philosophy book and learned about Socrates.
He reached out to leading scholars of criminal justice at places like Stanford and Princeton, some of whom were impressed enough to become mentors. Over the years, Santos earned undergraduate and master's degrees and wrote 7 books about the criminal justice system, all from inside prison walls.
Professors around the country began adding his works to their courses.
But I have a role and a duty to show others how to prepare, how to come back strong. I have a duty to work to help the formerly incarcerated transition into the labor market.
A Silicon Valley executive impressed by Santos's work invited him to speak at an annual conference.
We may call it a system of corrections, but in reality, it is a system that warehouses humanity.
Michael Santos is a great example of somebody who took advantage of an opportunity that he had while he was incarcerated.
Santos is getting his message out in other ways as well. He's also a lecturer at San Francisco State University, teaching a course called The Architecture of Incarceration. In just its second semester, it's become hugely popular with criminal justice majors, some squeezing onto empty floor spaces.
One of my favorite parts about this story, he wrote the books. He made money while in prison and paid taxes, he'll tell you. He came out of prison with $100,000.
Wow.